Alright, what we have here is my setup here. When you're looking at it, every time I configure a light show, I always go from the audience perspective, and this would be house left and house right. And these are DJ Swarm, the top fixtures. They have 12 channels. Now DMX, a channel means a control. And so these have 12 controls that you can change inside of them. On the bottom we have LEDs from Amazon. They're standard RGB LEDs, and each one of them are 6 channels, so you have 6 controls inside each of these LEDs. So just to give you an understanding, this is the hardware that I'm going to be configuring using Photon. What I have here is an already set up example of what you can do once you set up Photon. Let's say, for example, let's start with the top. Let's say I just want to control the left side light and the right side light, and let's say I'd like it to have some movement here. Oops, not those. I'd like some movement with these. So now you can start these can start moving, and then maybe you want a maybe I don't want it moving quite that fast. Then maybe I want a laser in the middle, and maybe I want the laser moving, and I'd like to have a light. Maybe not necessarily like that. Maybe it's like moving. So you can see this is a lot of options all inside of one fixture, and that's where we get the 12 channels or 12 configuration. On the bottom here, what I have set up is let's say, for example, I want to put red, blue. I have 4 different fixtures, and then I can fade them all in like this. And so let's say I want to change the color of one and the color of another one. Maybe I want it to be kind of purplish, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of cool. The other thing that you can do is set up a thing called presets or sequences. So this is what I do if I don't want to really have a DMX time. I'm doing a slow ballad, then I'll just have something kind of slow and rolling on the lower end, or maybe depending on the kind of song, maybe I'll just have the top ones just kind of slow and rolling, or I have a third option where both of them are slow and rolling for a slow song. Now when I'm timing a light show, then I have these flash settings where I can press and hold it on, or I can just have them flash with the rhythm of the song. But then I also have settings for fast settings for the upper, slow settings for the upper, and then fast and slow settings for the lower ones as well. That would be a faster setting, and then this would be a slower setting. So these are all presets, sequences, programs, and I'll go through that as well. So I wanted to give you an idea on just a quick taste of Photon, what it can do, the kind of hardware that you're going to see me setting up, and then you can expand that to include your own hardware. Once you see how it's set up, it should be fairly easy. One of the things you can do is use a quick setup LED wise, and you can get going right away if you're going to use this type of a surface. But if you're going to start doing MIDI triggers, the quick setup is not really the way to go. The more cumbersome custom setup, if you're going to be using MIDI triggers, is going to be the way to go. So let's go ahead and start out first with the quick setup. Now we're looking here at this is what you'll see when you get the app initially. We're going to go ahead and add a show, and you're going to see all these different things. It's going to give you a prompt. And you can't do a show unless you have devices. So because I'm not doing the DJ Swarms, I'm going to go ahead and create a device. Now I don't have a device on here that's going to be those Amazon 6-channel LEDs. So I'm going to come over here to custom devices, and I'm going to go ahead and create one myself. I've done the ask for support, but it doesn't always work that well. So first let's do the quick setup. So in this, remember there are 6 channels, okay? you have 6 channels, a dimmer, red, green, blue, strobe, and mode down here. So we're going to be creating 6 channels. So remember, it was dimmer, red, green, blue, strobe, and mode. So we're going to start out with the dimmer. Channel 1 is dimmer. That's automatically assigned. Colors, I'm going to select RGB, red 2, green 3, blue 4. And then shutter, I'm going to select this, and we're going to make it, and it's automatically 5. So pretty simple, pretty easy, as you can see here. Dimmer 1, red 2, green 3, blue 4, 5 is strobe. So that is getting started here to create this device very easily. And then the last one would be mode, and I'm just going to hit down here where it says custom, and when I hit custom, then I'm just going to go ahead and call it mode, and I'm going to make it a slider so we can select different modes, and I'm just going to call the slider mode, and excuse me, and so that's what we're going to have. So there we go, we've created our fixture. Okay, so that's exactly how easy it is. Now remember, we can't start a show unless we have a fixture. So we have created the reference to the light here. So all we had to do is create one, because we can do different addresses to point them to different lights. So now we've created the device, and now we're going to start setting up their start channels. Okay, so we're going to start out this one. We know that one of them starts on channel 1, and we can call this left band, I'll call it. So some of the light will have pointed towards the band, and some will have pointed towards the audience. And I'm kind of familiar with this. The next one is 7, and oops, I wanted to rename it here. We're going to call it right band. There we go. We are done with that. Now you're wondering, why do I have this? So why did I do these dip switches the way that I did? Well, that's very easy. Because remember, the hardware that we're running, channel 1, you have 6 channels, 1 through 6. Channel 7, it would be 7 through 12. That would be the 6 channels. So one's going to start on 1, one's going to start on 7, one's going to start on 13, one's going to start on 19. So channel 1 is the 1 of the 6, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Channel 7 is the number 1. So actually channel 7 for this light, number 1, you know, the first parameter that you can edit, number 1, all that channel 7 does is, yeah, I want 1 through 6 on this light. So if we started at channel 7 and you have 6 channels, then you would go 7 to 12, and so on and so forth. So hopefully that makes sense. If not, go ahead and you know, let me know. I need a little more information on how you set those up. So we're going to set up the 4th light, and it's going to be a 13, and we're going to call this left house. Okay, and this one is 19, 18, 19, there we go. And this is going to be right house. Alright, so we just go ahead and add that on. Okay, so now we have our fixtures: left band, left house, right house. And if you look at the lights that I set up, it'd be left band, left house, right house. And then now we have everything all set up. So now let's go ahead and see how this works out in a show. So now after we set this up, we're going to go ahead and click done, and here's our show. So now when you see this little thing shaking down here, it's trying to tell you, hey, are you going to add a fixture? And the answer is yes. I'm going to go ahead and add a fixture. So let's say, for example, I want one fixture as left band, and maybe I want to add another fixture right band, So I just go here, add, I'm going to put a group on here, and I'm going to go right band. I'm going to add another group. Group meaning you can have a bunch of lights, but right now I'm just doing one. And lastly, I'll do the right house. And then you can do this where you can actually change the names here, and you just hit edit. So this would be, you can call this left band, and this would be right band, left house, right house. Something you're going to notice also, it is a quirk with this program, is automatically the strobe is actually, I'm going to hit OK to save this. What you're going to see is there's going to be a lot of problems when you hit your lights will be strobing automatically. So all I do is I go into each one of these and I turn off strobe. Strobe is just one of those things that happens. For some reason, whenever you set up a new device, the thing will start strobing. So what you generally have to do, and this might even happen when you're starting your lights. Okay, we're picking up where the live is. We're not going to have live on, so we'll need to eliminate that. Okay, so now that we have the fixture set up, left band, left house, right house, now you can see that you have independent control. So there would be left band, oh I might have these backwards, my bad, right band, and then left house and right house. I had the first two done backwards, but I think you get the idea. What this does is it gives you different control over. So if you want to go here and you want to look at changing the color, let's say for example what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one of the lights red, and then I'm going to make one of the lights, say let's make this one blue, and then let's say we'll make this one purple, and we'll make this one green. Okay, so you can see that you have independent control over the lights. So let's go on into the next thing, which is creating a preset. So let's say for example what I've just done is I've just enacted a preset for this kind of a lighting scenario. So now when I hit this preset 1, I can also name it color 1. And that will be one of my presets. Okay, and we just hit OK. So let's say for example I want another preset, and let's get this out of the way. Let's say left band, we want it to be blue. Right band, we want it to be red. Say we want left house not to be that color, but let's say yellow. And right house will be purple. And so what I'm going to do is I can just go here and I can hit another preset. Okay, and instead of preset 2, I'm going to call it color 2. So, okay, just that simple, isn't it? So the cool thing about it is when you're looking at this, you have color 1 and color 2. So what you have is you can be switching between these two things, and now you have yourself kind of a light show that you can do just real quick. Some of the things you can do here when you get to live is you can actually add in a let's say a button, and I want the button to be a preset, and it's going to be color 1. So there's color 1, and I'm going to add in another button, and this would be a preset, say color 2. So why would I do that? Well, as you can see on this control surface, you have the ability to now assign MIDI notes. So this would be live, would be where you would assign your MIDI notes, so that you can now control this not by just using the iPad, but you can control this by using the MIDI notes. One of the things that you can do is when you're using the control surface here, when you're using control surface in live, what that means is you're going down here, you're going to set this to live, and all the lights will go off because the show is getting ready to start and you are now going live. So now what you do is you hit these presets, and you can see, obviously, you know, you can toggle back and forth, and you can have these on, and again you can have them using MIDI mode. And the cool thing about MIDI is let's turn it off live. You have a couple of choices. Let's say, for example, I want these to not necessarily be toggle on and off. I want them to be immediate. So in other words, that would be more representative of me hitting a note on the keyboard, and you know, as long as I hold the note is as long as the light stays on. So that would be using the option flash. For me, using programming MIDI, I don't use toggle. I always set these to flash. Works best with MIDI. So now in that case, you hold this down, and when you let it go, it turns off. You hold this down, and when you let it go, it turns off. Okay, so I guess it got stuck on the one. Let me just see here. We need to be in live mode. There we go. So that way you're holding it on, and so that way if you have accents in a song, you can go like this. And then if you have accents in another song, and then you could be going back and forth. So very cool. So one of the disadvantages about this situation is that when you do the quick setup like I just did, here's the problem. Let's say, for example, I want to have the lights, I want control over the color of the lights. So I want to add a control, and I'm going to add a fader so I can fade in different lights. Well, here's the only problem with the quick setup. All you have control over is the strobe, the dimmer, and the mode that it's in. You cannot control red, green, and blue or the colors independently. This is a quirk about Photon, and that to me is kind of a bummer, because I really like the idea how everything is set up. Now it's, you know, not completely unlivable, because truthfully you can just set up different presets and such, so you won't have the ability to fade in and out colors, but you will be able to have presets. The other thing is that when you come to light control, as long as you are using the quick setup, you're going to have sequence is really going to cooperate well. So when you set up a sequence, let's say, for example, I'm going to set up the sequence and I'm going to put these two colors in here. It's going to be great because this fade is going to work with this paradigm. So that's the cool thing about it, is if I set up a sequence, then I can actually have it. You can see how it just kind of fades. Now, if you don't do the quick setup and you do the custom setup, you're going to spend a lot of time trying to make this fade work, and it will not. It will just jump to the different colors. You will waste a lot of time trying to get fade to work with the custom setup, and it simply won't. The only way the fade will work is if you actually use the quick setup that I just showed. So it's a cool thing that you have. You have some really neat things that this can do, where it'll fade in and out, as you see. But the sacrifice that you have is if you go into this live surface and you're going to try to add in a fader, you're not going to have the ability to custom control your colors here. So via MIDI, that is. Again, you can throw yourself a button on here. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. And you can put a button on here and assign it to a MIDI trigger, and we're going to call it a sequence. So we're going to go ahead and put that on there. You can put a MIDI trigger note on there and it'll be just fine. So technically you could, let's go into live because this is live mode. Show is ready. So you can be doing this kind of a thing, and then you can be on a sequence, you know, and while the sequence is running you can, you know, be doing some flashes in there, and this can be all controlled via what do you call it, MIDI. So another option that you can have is, since we had the mode, the custom mode, that was another control that I put on there, I can assign a fader to that. So let's say, for example, I have left band and I want to assign mode to that. Let's say I want a mode to be assigned. You can put multiple things on one fader or one button. So I want all the lights to actually react to the changes in mode. So in this kind of situation, if I'm on the live mode again, what you'll see is you're going to see now where mode is going to actually enact different types of presets that are built into these. So, you know, if you don't, I like to have independent control over red, green, and blue via MIDI. So with this, you know, that's kind of a workaround, but not good enough for me. So you know, these different modes again are things that are built into these lights. So that's the quick setup, and now we're going to go to the custom setup. You can see what the advantages and disadvantages are of the quick setup. So let's go into the custom setup.